hear me. So there is a chat function where you can write yes if you hear me. And if somebody don't hear, you can also say no. And meanwhile, okay, looks like people hear me. Wonderful, very good. So then I wish to welcome everybody on behalf of Karma Experiential, and welcome for today's webinar on rekindling the spark in your relationship. A topic that we believe is of interest for many people, and everywhere we hear about what to do and what not to do in relationships. But our presenter for tonight, Advaita, will present something new for you, which you probably haven't heard yet. And for this, we are very happy to have Advaita Stoyan with us today, who is the lead teacher of the life-changing knowledge and experiences that we are providing at Karma Experiential. As I mentioned, Advaita is the lead teacher and the co-author of the internationally commended Tantra intensive course that is unique and taught all over the world. Knowledge that is rare to find today in its true authenticity. He's also the coordinator of the great yoga and tantra school in Denmark. And you'll always find him on the road traveling, teaching, delivering courses, running retreats worldwide from Europe, Asia, South America to the Caribbean. Through Advaita's aspired practice and study for over 27 years, he has become a rare jewel of what I would call a true tantric practitioner, who has guided thousands of people into discovering within themselves the power of transformation for living a happier and more fulfilled life. When I see him transforming himself day after day, it's always astonishing me how someone can continuously evolve to the better without any interference. And he shows me what it means to live as a true tantric, the one who always lives life fully with its intensity and power. And about today's topic of the webinar, I believe it's rather discussed in today's world, as most of us are probably in the search of discovering how to have a wonderful, intensely loving and passionate relationship, and not to be part of the statistical 2.5 years of relationship survival. And as you will soon meet, Advaita, he is also well known for his direct and straightforward approach to any topic, and his controversial way and political incorrectness, which some people may find provoking, but mostly because he always seemed to nail the matters exactly to the point. Well, now we only have 60 minutes today, but I hope it will be a very good appetizer that you will find valuable. So I invite you to sit back and relax wherever you are in the world, and let yourself be inspired. And now I'm ready to hand you over to Advaita, who will unravel the mysteries of the relationship flame. And just a note for those. So welcome, Advaita.
Thank you, Aida. Welcome, everyone, to this webinar on the secrets of the couple relationship. We can go a little bit in depth, but of course the purpose, at least my purpose today, is to point out certain issues regarding the couple relationship that can help everyone to maintain, and why not even reignite the spark there where you consider is room for more. First of all, very often we encounter these questions. For instance, if we can maintain the spark of the relationship forever, if the attraction can be maintained in the couple relationship. This is top question that we get from couples and even from singles that were and will be in relationships. And of course, in connection to that, people are wondering, why is the attraction gone? They still feel for each other, they still have love for each other, but the attraction, they clearly notice that is not at the same level as it was. And of course, in connection to that, the question is if we can do something about it, if we can reignite this passion. Of course, the good news is that we can do something good about it, and indeed we can reignite the passion, or we can ignite a healthy flame of passion in relationship that can last for a very long time, but we will see some fundamentals about it immediately. First of all, I will show you some facts with, of course, the carefulness that this is not a complete analysis of a couple relationship and its dynamics, but we find these facts regarding couple relationship in virtually any modern studies, correlated with also with the ancient teachings. First of all, recent studies on the dynamics of the couple relationship were revealing the fact that in fact being unfaithful was programmed within our genes, and of course that was having a logic from the very beginning, and the logic was to have better chances for our species to survive. And that is a very interesting element that we will also keep in mind for later. Also, another observation that comes more empirical, but also more and more scientifically proven, the fact that love in itself seems to be independent to the attraction that we have to each other. And that is kind of explained today by the fact that attraction is hormonally based, or at least at this superficial physical level is hormonally based, and love is neuro-emotionally based. So somehow these two seem to be two forces that are driving a couple relationship in its dynamic phase. But the question, of course, is if this is all, if this knowledge, which of course is a little more complex if we try to put details on it, but these are facts that we can find and we can agree with, if this is all in relationship. Because if this is all, then what Aida also mentioned in her introduction, we are programmed to be together for a while, and even though sometimes it happens that love is still there, the attraction starts to fade away, and we feel as if the grip to the relationship slips through our fingers, and we are falling apart from each other. Now, of course, that also happens because we tend to ignore a lot of the mechanisms of the couple relationship mechanisms that are even more important than these ones mentioned here. And we will go into that, and we will see that actually we are built for happiness, we're built for renewed passion in the relationships, just that we also need to know how we are built, because otherwise, of course, we will do things, as I will also point out in this brief presentation. We do things that are counterproductive for the harmony and for the intensity of the attraction in the relationship. Moving further in this, we can see that very often we tend to mistake the power of attraction with love itself. And as explained before, these are two forces that are contributing to our relationship. They are two forces based on something completely different, and for this reason, we should not mistake them one for the other. We can awaken a certain state of attraction, we can maintain it, we can even amplify it, and on the other hand, we can cultivate love. And even the methods to do that are fundamentally different, as you will see immediately. An important element here, and again, this presentation just aims for you to look into the mechanisms of happy relationship and to try to see what you can use home. So one element here is that attraction is that force that keeps us together, while love makes our relationship spin. With other words, in this analogical, in this more symbolical presentation, the attraction is what gives cohesion, and love gives dynamism to the relationship. And this is the reason why, if love is not there, even if there is attraction between two people, somehow the relationship is dead. And dead in the sense that is subjective to our animalistic program, to our genetic program. With other words, is doomed from the very beginning. We are following the program of the survival of the species, and we cannot do anything about it. So in this respect, love is what makes the difference and bring the relationship alive, or bring it back to life. If it was not cultivated correctly, we still have a chance to emphasize on the love relationship, because that is what makes us, not only makes us human, but also make the relationship to pass beyond the genetic program. The reason, the profound reason for that can be explained, but this is a subject of much longer talk, and one can even have methods to check for themselves. And of course, if attraction is not anymore there, or is not there, we grow apart, because the force that keeps us together, that keeps us near each other, is not strong enough. And therefore, even if love is still spinning us, the analogy with spinning is used on purpose, because exactly as if we are spinning, we develop this centrifugal force that is pushing us apart, and we need a strong force to keep us together, or to hold on together. That's the attraction. If attraction is not there, we grow apart from each other. And of course, for people who are short-sighted in love, at some point, even love cannot cover the distance. And because of that, of course, one is feeling that at some point, even their love snapped. They don't feel the love as it was. And that is because the attraction died and they grew apart, and at some point the distance is too big to be covered by their love. And of course, looking from this perspective gives you some already some ideas about these solutions that we suggest here. Solutions that are not some patches. They are not representing just a little bit of a fix, a quick fix. These solutions are, in fact, if you want, a process of relearning the mechanisms, engaging correctly in the couple relationship, because as we are designed by our wise creator, we are designed to be happy in relationships. We are designed to fulfill each other's fundamental needs in relationships in a natural way. And more than that, we are designed to enjoy the beautiful fruits of these relationships for a very, very long time. Learning about the mechanisms of relationships will make us able to relate to each other in a correct way, to engage into the fundamental principles that are running a relationship. And you already saw, I know from experience for many people, when just this first part of the presentation, when we say, look, love is something, attraction is something, and these play these two roles in the relationship, this is already an aha moment. I have seen many surprise faces, even for people who were in a relationship for 10 and 15 years, that suddenly they can see a difference and they know where they can truly emphasize and even sometimes redo certain things with each other. Now, as probably some of you heard in different presentations that now start to abundantly come today about relationships, it is a known fact that people have very little or almost zero education in being together in a relationship. And usually when there is a disagreement, for instance, in a relationship, the two lovers are disagreeing for 5 minutes, and if they start to fight for something, and the next hour they fight because of what they said in the first 5 minutes. And what is illustrating this is a lack of understanding of how relationships work. And because of that, most of the problems, and I can tell from experience, most of the problems I have seen, I've encountered, and also I've seen counseling other people on this path of building a beautiful, harmonious, successful couple relationship. Most of these problems are in fact misunderstandings on how things work. And of course, as you know from other life experiences, a misunderstanding that becomes a bad habit, a misunderstanding that is repeatedly transforming into wrong action, is becoming a problem. And in this respect, of course, think about the situation which appear hilarious in, if you put it like this, if you, for instance, are just a new user of a mobile phone, you never seen a mobile phone, somebody gives it to you, explain how you talk on the mobile phone, and yeah, it's nice, you get the point after you probably run away a few times because you hear a voice coming from a black box, but after you pass the shock, you start to use it. But there is a problem. It will run out of battery, and you will go back to the shop or to the one who gave it to you, and you will say, my phone is broken, because you don't know it can recharge. And then you get a new load of information. Look, this is possible to solve by recharging it. In that moment, the fact that the phone is dead is not anymore a problem. It's just a situation that happens, and you just have to prevent it by, in good time, put it to charge. So exactly in the same way, relationships run out of a certain power that is actually supporting the attraction, and we just have to recharge. And very often people come to me and Adina, my wife, with a dead relationship whose battery is out, true, but doesn't have absolutely any damage. Actually, the people, the primitives who never saw a phone, they try with different pieces of sharp wood or stones to fix the problem, and of course they damage the good phone. Same thing happens with couples whose battery runs out, and then they try desperately to fix the problem, and by trying to fix the problem that they do not understand correctly, they actually do more damage, and they come with a damaged battery there to us, and they say, look, this is dead, doesn't work, can we do something? And then we show them this, you can recharge, but first you have to fix a little bit what you did while you didn't know it's rechargeable. So this analogy helps you to see the reason why a very important role, surprisingly, I would say, for many people today, a very important role in rekindling or reigniting the spark is education. And before going to the idea of attraction, because I mentioned before that love is what makes the difference, I brought you here a bonus. I have to say, I couldn't keep myself only on this subject of attraction. It would be a pity not to at least mention a few things about love, because indeed love is the magic ingredient that has to be a priority for us in relationship. Not that recharging and recreating the attraction is not important. Obviously is important, since we are quite many online now watching this and me talking, so that's obviously something interesting. However, love has some what I call here golden rules. There are more than 5, but I was told I don't have much time, so here it is. First of all, put love on the first place in your relationship. Put it in your attention. Love can be learned, cultivated. And then, secondly, love is the transformational force. Therefore, embrace transformation. People want to have an alive love relationship and to keep it as it is. They even say that, I want things to last forever. The only thing that lasts forever is transformation. So get ready, embrace transformation, then you make room for true love to exist in your life, because love is a transformation ferment, is a transformation agent. Once love is in your life, get ready to transform. Pack your things to move on. Third rule, do not wait to be loved. Always be the first one to love. That's kind of a revelation, I have to say, for the world today. One of the most frequent sentences that you hear in relationships, you don't love me anymore. And of course, nobody is wondering, if I feel that you don't love me anymore, do I still love you so intensely as in the beginning? Because in the beginning, we never ask ourselves if the other one loves us. We are happy because we love. Then suddenly we expect more love. So remain in that state of being the first one to love. If you want, make a contest in your relationship, who loves first. In any situation, especially when you encounter a problem, let's see who is back in love, who is online with love first, whose love server is bigger, and so on. Fourth rule, be a love producer, not a love merchant. Which means do not negotiate love. If you love me, I love you. That's the classic mistake in killing a love relationship. And I will not insist more on that because it's quite obvious. And the last one, it is not important. It is more important who loves than who's right. Very often, especially when we disagree with each other, our house or our love relationship turn into a court house. and is like in a court, two lawyers fighting with each other, who's right and who's wrong. It doesn't really matter. It's much more important exactly in those moments who is the one loving above all. And with this, we gave love what belongs to love, and we move to the couple relationship. Couple relationship is analogically like a battery, and the good news is that this is a rechargeable system. It generates power when the two poles are strongly polarized, and we can regenerate it, we can recharge it. That's why I gave also this analogy to already start a process before exposing the whole thing. Now, this is an extraordinarily important notion. With this, you hold the key to attraction, you hold the key to dynamism in your own life. A strong attraction means strong feminine and strong masculine. When you put a strong feminine and a strong masculine together, united by love, dynamized by love, this is a strong engine of life. This makes the universe spinning. The specific roles and actions that a man is doing and a woman is doing in the relationship are actually not just statistics. And I'm telling you, today we have a little bit of confusion regarding these specific roles, but we will go over that, I'm sure, because there are more and more clear evidences, even scientifically. Of course, people didn't need that for thousands of years. But anyway, statistics are showing that when left alone, men and women have a certain specific behavior, statistically speaking, of course, that is actually meant to keep that strong masculine and strong feminine in place for a very simple reason. Then we feel attracted to each other. Then it works. If we don't do that, it doesn't work and we encounter these problems. For this reason, this last sentence that you have there on the screen turns into an entire science or an art, I call it, of playing this game of polarity, learning the specific role, the specific actions which are maintaining you, are keeping you in tune or in a state of resonance, as the spiritual systems put it, in a state of resonance with the specific masculine, respectively feminine energy, and then the relationship benefit from a very strong and rechargeable battery, because all you have to do then is just to put yourself in the right position, so to speak, to have the strong masculine on one side, the strong feminine on the other side of the bed, and in the middle of the bed you have endless happiness, fulfillment, and orgasms. And of course the opposite goes, and we see, for instance, quite often a polar imbalance that is always the equivalent of diminishing the attraction. When one pole is depleted, like you see in this funny image of t-shirts here, one is depleted and one is fully charged. That doesn't make a battery. As you probably know, you cannot have a battery, a strong battery with a very big plus and a very small minus, or the other way around. And that's the problem that we see very often in couples. Either the masculine role is diminished, is depleted for various reasons that I will, some of them, touch here, or the other way around. The feminine is not respected, is not cultivated well enough, and because of that, these two are falling apart, because polar imbalance means diminishing the attraction. Now, this way to restore balance means to know the specific features, the specific aspects of the feminine and of the masculine. And in this way, we know how to restore the polar balance. Restoring the polar balance means to restore the attraction. This is actually one of the biggest secrets that people discover today, unfortunately, on the painful side of the road, on the painful side of life. We discover it with a lot of couples that fail, but of course, this is an invitation for you listening, and you're very welcome also to, in the end, to ask your questions, to join a certain form of further education so that you know how to restore the polar balance, which means restore the attraction and recharge in this way the battery of attraction of a relationship. And in this way, we can relearn, for instance, something that is quite difficult today. From my experience in teaching and also practicing these aspects, this is the most, or one of the most difficult to comprehend aspects: polar roles. What is to be a man? What is to be a woman? I mean, it's not very difficult to say. It's not very difficult. It's even intuitive. But the problem is, this lesson is a lesson to learn. It's not a lesson to teach. It's something that we have to discover. Many people think, well, if I'm born as a man, look, I have hair on my face, enough so I can call myself a man, and I also pee standing. But that doesn't make you a man, not even near. There are many other aspects of this role in life that is empowering, that is bringing you in connection, in this resonance with the masculine energy, with the masculine power in the universe, and the same for the feminine energy, feminine power. We are born, and now we discover this thing even from a laic perspective, so to speak, from a scientific perspective. We are born as a man and as a woman, not by coincidence. We learn that from life. We learn to play those roles. And it's very interesting that all the problems we encounter in attraction, in interaction with each other, are nothing else but lessons to learn in this polar game. It's quite fascinating when you start to see it from this perspective, how precise is this game and how well designed this universe is, giving us all that we need to learn. Having reached to this position, I would address differently the two roles, the woman's role and the man's role in this game of polarity. And again, I want to emphasize that even if we consider ourselves out of the statistic, even if we think that, yeah, well, I feel differently than that, then still the statistic laws apply to us, and when it comes to the law of attraction, still is valid for the immense majority of people. Now, there are indeed some exceptions, but I have to say that there are much fewer exceptions than people think they are an exception. Much, much fewer. I would say from all the people who think they are an exception from these rules of polarity and polar game, 1% have a reason. I mean, it's true that, and the rest is simply a result of some misunderstandings, some issues that we have to learn. And once we learn, and this I have seen invariably in most of the cases, immense majority of the cases, once we learn just few things sometimes about ourselves and about who we truly are and what is our path in this life, then suddenly things get harmonized also in this game of attraction, and lights are back on, Christmas lights even sometimes, and people come to the next meeting with red cheeks and very, very happy smiles, and they say, oh, you can't imagine what happened yesterday or last night. So in this way, this knowledge, of course, can be, and I will speak a little bit in the end, can be trained, can be also learned step by step. And without more talking around, here is women's role. Ladies first. As you can read on these t-shirts of this beautiful couple, on her is written the queen of everything, and on his is written the king of whatever is left. Now, that's I chose it on purpose because it expresses a certain current misunderstanding and also error in playing this game of polarity from the side of the woman. Now, I just want to say something about this. The discussion about fulfilling a certain role is constantly attacked from both sides. We constantly have the impression that our role is fulfilled, we have nothing to do more, and the other side should make the first step. And this is the reason why the other talk about love. Love is the force that can give us an insight on the other side. Otherwise, indeed, we are locked in our own paradigm, and it's very difficult to go on the other side. Even if we wish, sometimes I've seen couples that still, they admit, yes, it seems right what you say, but deep inside they're not very convinced. They still think the other one have to make all the steps. And again, this is valid both for men and for women, even though, again, women will say, no, yeah, it's for him. And he will say, no, it's for her, obviously. I'm here just to assist. So we've seen that. If you hear yourself saying this, you're already in the middle of the statistics. So women's, there are some, I put here 4, because even though it was announced 3 secrets, let's start with 4. We can have much more, but not tonight. We have actually much more in this event that Kama is organizing. We will have an entire week of playing these roles and developing methodology about that. So, first suggestion, practical suggestion, take responsibility on the intimacy. This is a very important element. Women are, by the way they are physiologically built, but not only, also the entire being of the woman is equipped naturally to be intimate and to make love, and is actually equipped for the, you can say, correct way to engage in intimacy and lovemaking. And to give you the maybe most striking example, even though men and women are equally equipped to experience multiple orgasms and to separate the ejaculation from orgasm, still for men this is a huge secret. Very few men on the planet know it and apply this, while there are extremely many women who can have multiple orgasms and who can control at will the sexual discharge, so they don't get depleted. On the contrary, their orgasmic experience is building up more and more while they make love. They don't run out of juice, so to speak, with the multiple meanings. Therefore, it's also natural that the woman will take a more active role, more responsible role in intimacy. It is very good to learn and also to educate. Learn for yourself, and it's a drama. The fact that a man doesn't know about his sexual anatomy, well, it's unfortunate. But the fact that a woman doesn't know about her sexual anatomy, it's a tragedy. So therefore, and unfortunately, there are a lot of women who know very little. And don't forget, girls, you are the ones exposed. When in intimacy, the woman is much more exposed than the man. The man is equipped not to be exposed. He's equipped to do it running. That's the thing. Yeah, to do it while hunting or doing something else. It's a joke, of course, not because of that. But a woman is much more exposed. She is exposed even physiologically, exposed emotionally. And for this reason, she needs to learn to educate herself. And, surprise, take the initiative and educate your lover. You will be surprised, beyond the apparent macho attitude that the men try to have in intimacy, we are kind of eager to learn from you. You just have to take initiative. Men like when somebody knows what he or she talks about. What we don't like is guessing. And of course, that's the problem. When the girl goes there and she hardly knows about herself things, and she doesn't have an orientation, where is this intimacy going? It is indeed difficult to teach something. So learn. There are a lot of wonderful things that, for instance, the Tantric system is teaching. And the good part is that indeed in our Tantra classes, for instance, there is a predominance of women attending. And I know that home, there is a lot of bedroom teaching happening. The second idea is to take also an emotional active role. Women develop earlier, and this is a known fact, develop emotionally earlier than the men, and that advantage sometimes continue our entire life. So because of that, of course, it's meaningless to wait for your lover to learn emotions. You have to take initiative. And initiative doesn't mean just to be the storm there arriving from the horizon, sometimes on a monthly basis, if you know what I mean, and to scare his soul away when you say, we must talk. Of course, we have protection about that, we guys meaning. They have even some convention when the "we have to talk" phrase comes. Please call me and save me. Say that we have an urgent matter in the office or something, and let's save each other from the catastrophe. Of course, that's a very primitive response. This is a boyish response. Like a teacher who is caught in all kind of, like a student who is caught by the teacher smoking in a toilet. But of course, that is the reality. So we've seen time and again women complaining, why is he so immature? Why is he not taking responsibility? Well, he's a boy at that level. He's a mature man, wonderful man in many other ways. But at that level, he's a boy. Take responsibility, grow him first before you have expectations. Otherwise, you will be like a tyrannical mother who is shouting at the child why he didn't do something perfect in the house or something that actually the little child cannot do. Looking at the things from this perspective and taking an active role, the woman will also start to understand her lover much more. One of the current mistakes is that emotionally men need to recharge the battery by stopping, and then you don't run after him, you stay there where you are, let him go in a cave, he will come back for sure. Embrace polar differences instead of trying to eliminate them. women are scared very often, and they even say, well, why is he so different? Because he's a man, that's why. And very often, if you let women, and I did this experiment with the counseling that we do, I ask a woman who is very much in this paradigm, can you describe how would you transform your lover? And the description, you probably know already because it's a classic test, the description is the description of a woman, not of a man. What they will shape there is another woman. Now, no, of course, yes, it is said women are superior than the men. However, you will not be attracted. You will not be attracted. You just sign the death of the attraction in that relationship. So let him be different, embrace the difference, and embrace it intimately. It will be very intense. And the last indication, I will not elaborate because it is for your intuition, for the girl's intuition, be an inspiration and not a temptation. Don't use any tempting devices, rather inspire him. And to inspire, yes, you need to look inside of your soul, bring the best out of it. And when you bring the best out of it, you will be surprised that the man is rising and he becomes the hero. And with this, we're ready to bring the men into the picture. Because it seems, I know, when describing these things, the women's side is saying, no way, this is way too difficult. It means they have nothing to do left. We know that, we heard it many times, but we have a lot to do on our side of the bed. For instance, to take the challenge to become a perfect lover for her and to actively work on it. Because what we count very much as men is the woman's capacity to adapt to what she has. If it is 10 centimeters, she adapts to 10 centimeters. If you know what I mean. I mean the size of the bed, that's the point. So we count too much on that. As men, we have to take responsibility to become a perfect lover and to learn. Now the good news is we have a teacher in family. It's our lover, it's her, because she just heard about her role. She just signed up for the Tantra course, and now she comes home like a bee with a lot of knowledge, with a lot of honey, and we have to take it and process it. And constantly we should display, and not only for her, but for our own life, display improvement. With other words, to show that we actively work for it. If we learn, for instance, intimacy, if we learn to control our erotic energy to a certain extent, then that is just a phase. We don't just say, darling, that's it, deal with that. Before it was 2 minutes, now it's 3 minutes, that's it, that's what you have, take it or leave it. No, now it's 3 minutes, next month is 7 minutes, next month is 30 minutes, and as you know, or as you will learn, for a woman in intimacy, 25-30 minutes is a minimum to get started. So there is no way you can go for 5 minutes only, because 5 minutes means you have to invite all your friends to cover the 30 minutes minimum. So, and you learn another lesson, of course, the lesson of perfect detachment. Another suggestion, always find the highest perspective. As a man, look for a higher perspective in every moment in your life. In relationship, what we are doing now, see for a higher perspective and stand for it. Stand for an ideal. If you don't have an ideal in this moment, quickly go after this seminar, search for an ideal. That makes a man. She will feel it. It's like magic. You have an ideal in your heart, she feels sexy. You become suddenly, from the same you, suddenly is a new reborn virile hero which stand tall for an ideal. Another element is to take responsibility of the relationship's needs sorry, according to the chosen ideal. You see, if you run away when is the first sign of trouble, if you run away exactly when she needs the most, that's not a man. That's not attractive. That's not sexy, so to speak. A woman, even if she says, even if she tries to scare you, and honestly, as a man, I have experienced it a lot, and I'm sure all the other men will silently, manly nod their heads now. We have experienced moments when we are sure she tries to scare me away, but she doesn't mean it. She will admire you if after she tried everything to scare you away, you're still there. Then the hot night begins. But it's true, it is a kind of it's a logic that we can't understand. We cannot understand how come you try to scare me away, and then because I stand, you are feeling then suddenly attracted. But we do the same with football, for instance. We hit the ball and then we run after it. So we're not that far from it. We do exactly the same thing, just with other toys. She's doing it with us. We do it with a round ball. We're a little more abstract. Same pattern of thinking. So, therefore, a man is forged by taking responsibilities. Take responsibilities for the needs of the relationships. Relationships have a lot of needs, and I'm not talking here about money or a house or something. I'm talking about emotional needs. She has needs. She can teach us how to fulfill the needs, but it takes a hero to stand the lesson. And the last indication, very important, train your self-awareness, become the lighthouse in the middle of the storm. Because sometimes we are facing the storm. It's like the whole horizon suddenly darkens and there is a gigantic storm upon us. The lighthouse doesn't do anything but send beams of light around, and everything around is aligned with that light. This is the consciousness of a man remaining lucid, remaining positive, remaining unshaken in his love for his beloved, even though, yes, she might say something that she doesn't mean it actually. She might say something with so much energy that you think it's forever, and actually the forever, in her case, lasts for a few minutes. But if we are such a man, then we deserve all the rewards that she is capable, and actually she is generously bestowing them upon us if we do this. So these are some guidelines and secrets of how to play these roles. If you were fast enough to write these things down, you have already a manual of a happy relationship in a very brief. Playing this game of polarity becomes an art if we integrate these principles and others. Yes, if you educate yourself more in this, there will be more things to say. You'll be surprised, there is even a way to eat. There is a certain diet that a man can have or a woman can have in order to increase their masculinity in the case of man, femininity in the case of woman. These are principles and methods that always bring this game forward. You will discover playing this game something quite amazing. When you play the game of polarity correctly, you are in a natural way energizing your entire life. In fact, what you play in relationship, you play in your entire life. Strong or right polarity in relationship means power in your life. This is the reason why you see, for instance, when people are in a love relationship where love is very intense and then love is kept together by a strong polarity, what these people do also with the life of other people around. What they do with their own life is amazing. And this is because there is a lot of power in their life. And of course, sometimes we need special groups, special environments, we need knowledge. There are even methods, yoga, tantra methods, that help one to develop, to learn this game of polarity and art of being together in a polar relationship. And with this, I've been diagonally through a lot of knowledge. If you have questions, please write it here on this chat minuscule.
Thank you very much, Advaita. This was truly an eye-opener. And as I said in the beginning, we do have a special bonus for you. And it is that Advaita and his beloved, wonderful wife, Adina Stoyan, whom they themselves have been in a relationship for over 28 years and counseled thousands of couples. They are offering, we have a few slots of 25 minutes consultations with them, where you can assess the relationship, how Tantra can help. And since we have so few slots, it is first come, first served. And it is not for everyone, for those who are in a couple and who want to work towards a long-lasting relationship, and also those who are willing to put in the work and prioritize the relationship and to learn about exactly this, what Advaita was talking about, the roles of the woman and the man. And I will below here post a link where you enter the link, and those who are fast enough will be the lucky ones. So it comes here, you will see it in the chat.
Okay, I can answer your question, Lila.
Yes.
You mentioned that the women tend to push. Yeah, yes, indeed. They tend to push the men away sometimes, and not how to say, is inherent, but it can be also avoided. But again, it's inherent because there are differences, fundamental differences, and in the beginning, and I want to underline, in the beginning, when we are still semi-conscious, or semi maybe is very generous, little conscious about this game of the two poles in our relationship, we anyway react in such ways. So you don't have to blame yourself too much for that. This is a lesson for the men in that case to learn, and you will learn gradually to detect that tendency and to, let's say, cancel it before it happens. Yeah. When you go like a storm towards him, you will borrow in time man's lucidity that makes him sometimes to seem indifferent to you. Well, we are not indifferent, we're just keeping the lucidity, the lucid head, the cool head, so to speak, and because of that it seems indifferent, and actually yes, sometimes the man is indifferent, he's hiding behind this cool head, and because of that you are so wonderful, the women, to bring us beyond the screen, so to speak, where we hide. So, but the storm we can detect very easy, and then in time, by playing together in the relationship, and this is the beautiful part of it, you learn from each other, and the woman learn how to see through her lover's eyes. And then you will see, wait a second, of course, what I mean is actually not that I will never see you ever. No, leave me alone for 15 minutes until I cool down. This is what you meant. Because when you say for a man, I don't want to see you ever, we literally take it. That's it. So you mean forever, you mean that's it. Then, of course, it makes things worse. So that's why that kind of lucidity and cool-headedness, so to speak. It's more than that, but I will not enter details about it now. You learn it gradually from the men you admire and you love, but in between, it's a very good lesson for the men. So relax, be stormy, and allow him to learn his lesson. You don't have to be concerned about that. You have a lot of other things on your plate, so to speak. So one mistake is, for instance, when women hear about these things, there are two typical reactions I can tell you, speaking of this game of polarity. Guys are saying, yeah, and they just move along as if they never heard about these things. Girls are taking in not only the women's side, they also take the men's side. They want to do both. And because of that, of course, it becomes very difficult. They get scared. Really, how can I avoid this storm of emotions? You don't have to. You don't. Yeah? Relax. Be a woman. Relax in being the woman. You don't have to be concerned now also for him. Will he manage my storm? Is he really prepared? I hear this very often. Once they become aware of the of this situation, a lot of while the guys stays relaxed and they hope it's not about them. No, probably it's about somebody else. He has some friends who are like this, not me. And yeah, it's about each of us. This is what's the thing. I mean, the guys and the women. They, of course, as I said, they take the burden for both of us, and that's the reason why men should take that burden from their shoulders, to let them free, to be a woman, to be stormy. Yes, we are equipped for storm. We are equipped for battle. So, girls, feel free, battle on. Don't worry about us. That's how you grow a big man from a little boy.
Very good. Then we have some training to do.
Yes. And for this side of the pond, it's time for training. It's night.
Very good. Then the time.
Good. Thank you very much for coming and for Kama to organize this. Very nice setting. We should do it more.
Very good then. Then we say good afternoon and good night, depending on where you are in the world.
Good night. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.